Okay, hi everybody, it's Lyn from LynzCrafts. This is a box that I've just started on. And I meant to kind of show you what it looked like ahead of time. It was just a plain storage box. I'm not really sure what it came in. I think I got it at a yard sale, or the free sale as I call it. We passed a house one time that the whole yard was just covered with stuff. And it didn't say yard sale, it said free sale. Load it up and take it. So that's what I did. A friend of mine and I stopped and went to town. And there was somebody had crafted, and there was lots of lovely craft goodies. This box right here I've had literally since I was a teenager. And it was an X-Acto set that I had gotten for Christmas. And look, I opened it earlier. This is how old it is. The foam, the piece of foam rubber that was on top, is literally disintegrating. My fingers right now, it feels like my fingers are eating into it. It's so yuck. It's just like powder. So I just thought I had to show that. But anyway, so here it is, and I've just done some distressing and some spraying with some Lindy Stamp Gang sprays. And it's going to have paper over it eventually, but this is just the base of the box. And then the inside, I went ahead and took the hinges and everything off, because it was a little bit better box, and it did have screw-on hinges and stuff instead of just the little brad nails. Like, you can see this one just has the little nails. So if I did this one, I probably wouldn't take the hinges off. But this one had screw-on ones, so they came off pretty easy. So I did the same thing on the inside. I just spray painted it, and this is with that Americana paint. And I just heated it with my heat gun while it was still wet to give it that bubbly, distressed look. And then when you spray on your Lindy's, I actually rubbed over it first, with Vintage Photo Distress Stain. And then before that got a chance to dry, I sprayed on my Lindy's. I actually did a homemade shimmer spray in like a toasted marshmallow. It's kind of a goldy, silvery white. And then the other was the Mission Bell's brown, and then just a little bit of the. No, I didn't do that. Just the Mission Bell's brown and the toasted marshmallow kind of color on the inside. And the inside of this box was not finished like the outside. It was literally just strips of wood, like a particle board or something, like a wafer board, I guess you'd call it. So, of course, the finish is really uneven, but I like that. It's going to go perfectly with the project I have in mind. So, did that inside and out. So it's really, really distressed looking. And the paint I used is also Americana and in Ocean Blue is what the outside is, and the inside is Bahama Blue. And I picked these two colors because they go with the paper line that I'm going to use. And it's the Tim Coffee. Okay, so here's what I started off with. Besides no sleep. I have the Tim Coffee Travel matte pad. 2 of the embellishment packs. And this one is the cardstock and acetate, 40 pieces. And here's an idea of what's in there. I used a few of these, and this one is just the cardstock, the die cut cardstock, 94 pieces. And just an idea of what's in there. And I used a few of those. And then I've got the specialty paper pad and the designer paper pad. And this is the piece that I used, and I believe this one's out of the specialty paper pad, yep. This is the one I used on the cover of the box. And I've covered it up so much you can't hardly see it, so. Alright. Oh, besides that, I did use 3 of the Lindy's. At least 3. I probably used more. I know I used the frosted forget-me-nots on some stuff. 2 of the Starburst, and one of them is a Moon Shadow Mist. The Mission Bells Brown. Sorry. The Cocoa Bean Copper. And the Gossamer Gold. And then I also used this Americana paint in the Persimmon and the Antique Gold. Okay. First video I did, I was so close, I about made me sick when I watched it, so try not to do that again. In the little clip at the beginning I showed what I did to the box, or talked about what I did to the box. I've gone over it with a little bit more of my homemade shimmer spray. And just a little bit of the Gossamer Gold and some of the Mission Bells Brown. I've put a little gesso on the corners and on different spots and heat it with my heat tool till it bubbled, and then I painted it with, I meant to get that out. Okay. My homemade pink, and it's a pink gold. I don't know if you can tell that or not. It's got a gold shimmer to it, and then this is the toasted marshmallow color I was talking about. Okay, so and I've done that in different places. Oh, and after I sprayed it, I went back with my white acrylic paint and just rubbed over it a little bit on the top. I was just trying to give that look maybe of barnacles that have broken off, or, you know, barnacle kind of look. Okay, and then on the 2 ends, I'll show you those first, is the starfish on one end. A starfish. See, this is why this is the 3rd time. The sand dollar, and I've only glued it to the bottom part of the box, so the box still opens. And then same thing on this side with the starfish. This is the one I did in the tutorial. And all I've done to it is sprayed it, I painted it white, and then I sprayed it with a couple of the Lindy's, the Mission Bells, the Cocoa Bean Copper. And that may have been all I used on that one. Let me show the sand all one more time, because I painted it with white acrylic paint and then sponged a little bit of a buttermilk, I believe it's Americana paint. Yeah. Buttermilk Americana. And then I sprayed it with the Cocoa Bean Copper and a little of the Mission Bells Brown. No, the Mission Bells Brown and a little of the Gossamer Gold. I'm so sorry. Sometimes you should just write it all down. Alright, let me prop this up a little bit. Chair is squeaky, the fish tank's loud. Oh, goodness. What an annoying morning. No, I'm sorry about that. It's a great morning, Lord. Didn't mean that. Okay. Here is the top. Start over here with some polymer clay pieces that I made. Okay, well, trying not to get too close. This is just a shell that I made, polymer clay shell that I made, and I meant to show that. I made some molds out of some shells. And of course, this isn't even one of the shells that I used, but I had these shells, and the reason I made a mold and made them out of clay is because I didn't want to try to glue them down. You have to fill up the center and everything with glue, and it's just kind of wasteful, so I just made them out of polymer clay. And of course, the reason I don't have them to show is because my grandson ran off with them somewhere. So this is just an embellishment out of that cardstock embellishment pack, and I've inked the edges with vintage photo and put crackle accents. And I've inked basically everything that's been inked with vintage photo. I've distressed the edges of the paper just using my craft knife. This is another one of the starfish that I made, and doing the same technique as I did on the tutorial. This is the one that's painted though with the persimmon and the antique gold, and then I sprayed over it with the gossamer gold. And this is one of the acetate pieces that's in the embellishment pack, and I'm going to actually get closer. And I've put some Lyn's clear tacky glue, and I've put some clear micro beads just to look like air bubbles. Piece of netting, fishnet that I got at I actually got it at a yard sale for $1/4, but I think the tag on it said it came from Garden Ridge. Here's the paper that I was talking about. I curled the edges back, and then underneath it is this other print, and I've used that underneath, and on both sides I've curled the edge over here too. So okay, these are just some acrylic pearls. I've got down to where that's all I had left is these little acrylic pearls. I've got to find somewhere to order some pearls. I normally order stuff like that just from Walmart or get it when I go to Walmart, but some things they don't, you can't order online, and for some reason the pearls and chain were both one of them. So, and my store is doing something with their crafting department, so it's real sparse, and I'm real tongue-tied. Okay, so here's another clay shell that I made, and it's just got stripes of that persimmon, and again is sprayed with the gossamer gold. This shell is just, I didn't even paint it, it's just sprayed with the gossamer gold. Don't want to get too close again. This is just an embellishment piece that I made. I have a mold for the frame, and then I just made one of the last thing was this piece right here. The center clasp on the front was off center. I don't know, I'm not sure why that was done, but it bothered me, it distracted me. So I hung this where it would have little glitter stone pieces, and it's not in any way made like a piece of jewelry. This is just glued together with some E6000. But this piece has got a little chain. It goes over here to this key that is also a polymer clay key. I actually have this key, rusty old key that came in a jewelry box that my husband found in a dumpster. And there's actually a video about that. And this is another one of the shells, and it's just painted with some apple barrel black acrylic paint and then sprayed with the gossamer gold. This one over here, I forgot to say, I did spray a little bit of the frosted forget-me-nots and some of that homemade pink on that one. So it has kind of a different iridescence to it. It's really pretty. Sorry, my chair is so squeaky this morning. This is just a piece from the cardstock pack that I've inked the edges of. Another one of the polymer clay coins. A couple of my homemade flowers, carnation kind of flowers. And this one had a little more open center, so I put a pearl in it. And all of these pearls, I've taken my gossamer gold and just opened it up, and with my paintbrush just daubed a little. I didn't want them to be too white. So this is just a map that I printed offline, and I sprayed it with the gossamer gold and a little bit of the, I probably used all three of them actually, and then while it was still damp, I like crumpled it and then opened it back up, and then took my distress ink pad, my vintage photo distress ink pad, and just went over just the crinkly bits, you know, and then sprayed it again lightly so that that would bleed out just a little bit. And then I've distressed the edges with my craft knife. Curled the other side back so that you could see underneath, and it's got that same fish paper. And one of the shells from the cardstock embellishment pack, and I've just curled it back and inked the edges. And put a little pearl at the bottom. And I think that was it. And the last thing was this piece right here. The center clasp on the front was off center. I don't know, I'm not sure why that was done, but it bothered me. It distracted me. So I hung this where it would help it not look so off center. Let me see if I can show you that. There you go. So this is another polymer clay piece that I made, and it's also not like a piece of jewelry. It's just glued together. The stone is just glued onto the piece, and that is normally something I do not do for jewelry. I almost never use glue in my jewelry. I would have made the bezel actually hold the stone like a piece of jewelry. So let's see if I can do this where my thing still holds my lid up. Come on, come on. There. Because of course it's top heavy and it wants to flip over. So I just used some pearl trim for the to hold the lid. This is just a piece out of the embellishment pack that I inked the edges of, as well as the bird. And I believe I showed at the beginning what I did to the inside. Okay. Let's see. Yesterday was better because we had sunshine. Now I've got a big old shadow. Okay. The little turtle is from the embellishment pack. And I curved his shell really well. And when I glued him down, I only glued the edges and the tips of his 3 little feet right here. This one I've left loose. And then his head is loose, sticking up. And he sticks up quite a bit, you know, like maybe a 1/4 inch or more. So he really looks cute. Looks like he's swimming. And then over here, I tried to make this a little more like the Tidepool. So I got a lanyard on my camera. It's caught up. Let's see. I googled trying to find out what kind of flowers like grow at the beach or whatever, and there's really not a lot of choice, but these white flowers with a little yellow center, just some 5-petal flowers, and I just used my large EK Success Punch and painted the centers with a little yellow, and then put some orange seed beads. And the flowers themselves didn't have orange centers, but I just wanted to kind of tie in with the colors. So, some more of the netting at the back, a couple of more of the embellishments from the embellishment pack, a couple of more of the polymer clay shells, and these I haven't done anything to. That's just the color of the clay, the way it comes out of the package. Another one of the starfish, and again, it's just painted white and sprayed with the cocoa bean copper. These are some little acrylic flowers that I got from Jessica J. Lampert. Hey Jessica! Couple of my lollipop kind of flowers. And these were like a heavier chiffon maybe. And I just took my heat gun when I cut the circles out and held the centers down with some pliers. That's the second time I've said that, I want y'all to know. With some tweezers. I have some big long tweezers that have like, you know, Teflon handles or whatever, and so I heat set them, and they curled up like that, and so then I glued them together and put these little centers, little frosted flat back centers that I've had for a long time. I think they came out of my grandmother's like sewing box or something. I still have a few left, and And again, this is another lollipop flower that's just that sparkly organza with a silver glitter brad, and I'm almost out of those. In the center. Oh my gosh, is that it? Okay, that's it. Every time's a charm. Okay. So, there it is. If y'all see anything I forgot, just tell me at the bottom. I feel like I've said this all 6 times. So, there it is. This is just for my collection of, like, underwater themed stuff. Sometimes you do something just because you need a little mojo to finish something else, so that's what this was. So, but I really, really like the way it turned out. I did have a little bit of a struggle when I was laying everything out. I did keep moving it around quite a bit, but I do really like the way it turned out. So, there it is. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope y'all have a great Memorial Day weekend. Anything? Alright. Thank y'all. I've gotten a few new subbies lately. I want to thank y'all for that. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all my subbies I already had. Appreciate y'all too. Thanks for watching everybody. I'll holler at y'all later. Alright. Bye now.